Hello, everybody, and welcome to Finding Your Innergator podcast, where we talk about discipline, relationships, and the habits that release the greatness that is already inside of you. I'm your host, Wright, and I am so glad that you're here. In each episode, we'll explore powerful lessons, real-life stories, and practical strategies to help you live intentionally, build meaningful relationships, and unlock your full potential. But greatness isn't something you stumble into. It's something that is built every single day. So let's get started and begin the journey to finding your Innergator. All right. Hello, everybody. And yes, welcome to Finding Your Innergator. This is your host, Wright. And I got to tell you, like I tell you every week, I am so glad that you're here. You know, over the last, 14, 15 episodes, we've talked about the optimizing of relationships, right? And then we dug deeper. Every day you've got daily disciplines where you get clear, you act with intention, you track. If you measure it, you can manage it. If you manage it, you can improve it, but you got to know where you're at to even start. And we honed in on optimizing relationships, leveraging those relationships. No matter where you're at today, I guarantee you got blood, sweat, and tears in everything that you do. But trust me, if you look back, there were relationships that helped you get through something, that opened up doors and gave you opportunities that you were able to leverage. And I imagine that people have leveraged a relationship with you as well. And then the R, every day you've got to reset and get rest. Reflect. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And know that every day is a battle. Every day is a battle. And you have to go back and look. Did you win the day? And if you didn't, it's okay. We're resetting and we're starting tomorrow. We've had a couple of guests on. You know, we had Allison Blanchard out of Wisconsin, Zam Monroe out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Great stories. But I can tell you today to me is just a fascinating story. I've known this young man for about 3.5 years. He and I actually work at the same company. Many of you know that I run the what they call Division 1 for Union Home Mortgage. And I had the pleasure of meeting him about 3.5 years ago. And I have watched him grow, and I've learned his story. And today he's going to share some of his story with us, where he was at and where he's at today. And I think you'll be very intrigued when you start seeing the correlation of the things that we talk about and how these same things he does daily. He does daily. So John Langdon, you on?
What's going on, RB? How are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can. You know, one thing I like about this already is you got the Alabama accent. I got the North Carolina accent. So we both can understand each other in this conversation.
That's right.
That's awesome. So, John, here's what I want to do. If you would, let's just start, and we're going to get into the daily pieces in a minute and the success you're having, but let's spend just a couple minutes to lay a foundation of kind of where you work. Now, look, this is 2026. It's in the month of May. And are you 26 years old? Is that right?
So I'm 29. You're probably 29. Referring to Bryson.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's funny. I was talking to him earlier. 29. Still, you are below 30, brother, and you've lived a full life. So kind of tell us, kind of where you were at. Tell me just in what you're comfortable with. Just kind of talk about some of the struggles that you had.
Yeah, everybody's got their own stories, and everybody's been through some stuff. So I don't want to go too deep into the mess. Mm-hmm. But before I came to Union Home Mortgage, I was in the deepest, darkest place that anybody could possibly be. And I'll say this: the Lord has restored me from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I almost lost my life to drugs and alcohol. And thank God I was able to surrender my will over to Him in 2022, and that's around the same time that I'd come on, right before I came on with Union Home Mortgage. So 2022 I didn't do but just a few loans. 2023 I was really bouncing back, and it was it was grow or die, right? I had to grow or I was going to die. And I had to grow in my faith. I had to grow in my relationships. I had to grow in business. I had to grow in every aspect that you could possibly think of in life. So 2023, I only did 14 loans, but I was bouncing back. I was getting back on my feet, and I was learning the culture at Union Home Mortgage, which is world class. And from there in 2024, I went from the 14 units I did the year before. In 2024, I did 33 units. But I did pick one thing up in 2024, and that was construction to perm lending. And when somebody goes after something, when I go after something, I'm not just going to dip my toe in it. I'm going to immerse myself in it, and I'm going all the way ahead, full speed, and learning it the way that I need to learn it. So I tapped into that in 2024 and closed my first construction to perm loan among the 33. In 2025, I closed 83 units. Mm-hmm. So huge growth, over double of growth. And then so far in 2026, I'm at 51 units year to date, and I'm licensed in several states and doing a ton of construction to perm business.
And look, I'm going to tell you from the work standpoint, that is awesome. I mean, you talk about a 10x mentality. So you go from 14, 2 years later, you're doing 83. And you said a couple of things. Don't want to deep dive this. However, when we wrap up, I want to talk about what you're doing, I think foundation-wise, to help other folks. But when you say, because I want to paint a picture of rock bottom, which is a true statement. You said, hey, I had struggles with drug and alcohol. The truth of the matter is, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, we're not talking about hanging out at a party, having a cold beer and some weed. We're talking about crack houses, meth. We're talking about things that will absolutely not just destroy your life, but will absolutely kill you. And it's an addiction that people that haven't been a part of it do not understand. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing in the entire world. And the thing about it is, like, I don't even know how I'm here other than God. I mean, God's the only way that I'm here to even tell my story. And we will talk about the nonprofit and stuff at the end. But yeah, it was the most miserable thing that I could have possibly went through. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that nobody else goes through that. Yeah. You're right. It was meth, heroin, fentanyl, but it didn't start out like that. Right. My dad was an FBI agent, and my mom was the head of a community correction. So I was like the last one that anybody would have ever thought would have been addicted to that type of stuff. But it started out, 7th and 8th grade with small choices with weed and alcohol, and then ended up having surgery. And it's a similar story to many people, but the doctors prescribing me painkillers, and then from there, just going deeper and deeper and deeper into my addiction until the point where I was addicted to meth and heroin. As bad as that sounds to say, but God has allowed me to turn my shame into His glory, and I mean, that's all that matters is where I'm at now and what I'm able to do with it. So
I have 472 thoughts running through my head right now. And the first one is, you just you said something very, very wise, and we talk about it on here a lot. Where we're at today, well, you know what? Where you were at yesterday was a result of the decisions that you made days prior to that, right? Meaning when you said, I made small choices when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and that kind of put me on the path. Where you're at today, when I look back over the last 3.5 years, is a result of the choices you made then as well. And the only thing I'm trying to say there is, I love to read, dude. And Brian Tracy said one time that reputations, professional, personal, they are a result of what we've done up to this point. But tomorrow's reputation is going to be based on what we did today. And it's continually doing those things, taking those steps, moving in the right direction, where people don't look at John and say, oh man, he's he's a druggie, they look at you today and say, my gosh, this guy is a rock star. He's helping people. He's got a heck of a business, beautiful family. It's based on the choices that you made. And the thing I love about it, it doesn't matter where you're at, personally or professionally. You have to get clear and get your mind right and make the decision that you're going to win today. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything that I do is intentional. So, I mean, I did share with you a couple days ago, last week, about what my morning looks like. And if I'm not disciplined in anything, RB, I'm disciplined in my morning meditation and what I do. And I kind of go through and I put my spiritual armor on every single morning with prayers for, fear, anger, resentment, sexual misconduct, anything, just asking that God's will in my life be done. Thy will, not mine, be done. And then I go out and I pursue. And if I get off track, I'll come back in and I'll do the things that I need to do that's going to earn me the business that I'm trying to build. And everything is relational in this business. And I think that I spend most of my time building relationships because that's where the most fruit comes from.
Dude, you don't know if you just realize what you just said. Every morning I get clear. I go through, I put on my armor. I go through. And by the way, when I was with John, we're at an event, and he shared his story very much in depth. There was probably 160 people in the room. And he actually went through, this is what I do every morning. And he, word for word, went through the prayers that he goes through every morning. And I'm sitting there looking at him thinking, man, he's getting clear. He's getting clear this morning. He's getting his head right. And then he said, you guys just heard him say this. I didn't tell him to say any of this. He goes, but I act with intention every day. And then I track, and if I get off track, I come back and I reset. But everything I'm doing right now is because of the relationships I'm building. John and I have never had an Innergator conversation, but he is evidence that what we're talking about is absolutely the daily disciplines that everybody needs to have. Now, tell me this. This is where I get excited. When I look at the first page, dude, first page of President's Club today, you know whose name I see?
Who's that?
Yours. I see yours, baby. I see yours on there. And I smile. Because not even knowing, I smile even more today because I did not know your past until you shared it, right? I didn't know those battles. I look at it because I saw a guy that was, at the time, 26, closing 14 loans a month, just barely closing one a month, right?
Yeah, 14 loans a year, one a month.
Yeah, one a month. Yeah,
terrible place. Yeah.
And then I look at and I mean, you're trying to make a living, and then I look today, and you're closing close to that amount a month right now, and you haven't even hit your stride yet. And so I look at that story and I think, wow. So tell me, when you look at work struggles, right? You're in the trenches, you're trying to figure it out, you're doing one loan a month. What mindset or habit changed for you to go from 14 loans a year to 51 through the first part of May?
So a few things. I had to take massive action, right? And like I had said earlier, my brain is all over the place, ADHD, XYZ, but I can still take massive action and be pretty successful while doing so. So I've really had to dial in and get my systems and processes in place and invest in myself and, have people hired onto the company but pay their salary and continue to do that and dial in through our coaching program that we have here at Union Home Mortgage. That has helped out a ton, just the accountability. But and it's nothing so special that I did. It's God that's done it for me, right? Out of self, into God, into service, and into others. And you got to be passionate about this business. You can't. I don't just make a phone call and it's never mundane with me. I'm intentional, like I said. I go after it, and I make people feel like this is the biggest purchase of their life, like it is, and that I want to be the one that helps them walk through that process. And again, the niche product. I started out with stick built, and now I do a ton of manufactured, and that's a culture in itself. Very hard for me to get in. It took a few years for me to really break into that market, but when I did, look at what it's been. I don't even know. Words get in the way.
Yeah, well, let me just tell you what you said. Several years ago, I was reading a book by Grant Cardone, and one sentence stood out to me, and that was massive action equals massive results. Massive action equals massive results. You just literally just said that. Is that you knew that in order to get to where you need to be, you had to do something completely different, not changing who you are as a person, but the way that you did things. The second thing that and actually the third thing you said, I'm going to hit it second, was, man, this took 3 years. It's taken me 3 years, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but I'm having success. And that's because you were consistent. You acted with intention, but you were consistent. The third thing, and I want this to come out the right way. Zan and I were, a good friend of mine, Zan Monroe, and I were having a conversation last week about doors that open, opportunity. And you just said, hey, this God, if you know anything about me, I would agree with that statement. But what I also would say is this. The opportunities are there that God presents. The problem is most people are either too scared to walk through the door that he just opened, or they're too blind to see it. And when I see your numbers, when I see what you're doing, you took massive action. You've been very consistent in your action, and your life is completely different business-wise and personal from 3 years ago, closing 14, probably wondering how in the world am I going to put fuel in my car, to doing 3 times that volume in the first 4 months of the year. And it's because you also had your eyes open, your heart where it needed to be, and when those doors opened up, you didn't just walk through it, dude. You ran through it and said, all right, we're going to figure this out. So when you say, hey, God has done this, God has given you opportunity, but you were clear enough, open enough to see him. Make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. Yeah, I had to, and he rewards all the effort that you place. So, and this doesn't matter if it's with builders, realtors, personal friends, business associates, whoever it is. Like I pray for opportunity every single day. And any time that I take and I put forth effort, some way he shows up, and it's like a God wink, boom, there's another opportunity. Yep. And there's so many of them. If I just had a journal and I wrote down every single thing that happened in my life and just the crazy, I was going to say coincidences, but I don't believe in coincidences. There's nothing coincidental that happens in God's world. I don't believe in, God makes mistakes either. So it's, you put forth the effort, and then there's more and more opportunities revealed to you every single day. You just got to capitalize on those opportunities whenever you see them, and be intentional with them.
Well, anybody who's heard me talk knows that a lot of times I use the phrase that what you focus on expands. And when you start, people talk about the law of attraction, and I don't look. I struggle with that, because what it says is if you put it in the universe, it's going to come to you. What I say is if you focus on it, just like you focused on a new niche, and it doesn't matter what your career is, when you focus on it, you begin moving forward, take that massive action, you're going to feel like that God and the universe is just sending you all this stuff. The truth of the matter is those opportunities were always there. You're just looking through a different set of lens now, and you can see them. And so, hats off for you seeing the opportunity and going in both feet. Two more thoughts for you. Number one, your journey, and you can go down the path of personal and professional here. What lessons that you think you've learned that people who are seeking to grow personally, professionally, what's some lessons you've learned that they can apply?
Oh man, well, you got to get real clear about what goals you want to have. It doesn't matter if your goals are bigger than the world, right? Because I had zero goals. I just wanted to stay alive a few years ago, and that was really the only goal I had, was that I had a little bit of, I had enough of a will to do whatever it takes to live, and that's what I had to live in at that moment in time. But from there, the goals got bigger, and it went from getting out of the draw hole $4,000 in 2023 when I'd only closed 14 loans. Yeah, I mean,
that makes me laugh. And so
it's crazy to say that.
Well, people who are not in mortgage banking or a commission job, they don't understand that if you don't close during the pay period, you still got to get paid. But that's a prepayment on what should be coming. It's a draw. And all of a sudden, it goes from $1,000 to $2,000. It's like having a credit card you can't make a minimum payment on, to be $4,000 in the hole.
And 3 months behind on my mortgage. So not only was I $4,000, so the Lord has done it exceedingly and abundantly more than I could ever ask, think, or imagine possible. But I had to get real clear on what I was going to do, right? And so I do my daily morning meditations, and I cleared my head up. Then I started setting bigger goals, like, hey, I want to at least get paid up on my mortgage. And then, hey, I want to get 3 months ahead. And then I want to start taking these loans and doing 2 or 3 a month to doing 5 or 6 a month. And so it's just multiplied from there. And then I want to get my LOA that got fired because I wasn't producing. I felt terrible about that. I want to make that right. I want to get her back on. And then it went from one thing to the next to now I want to go after builder business. How am I going to do that? And so I went and, one day after the next to all the lots around or the different building companies and tried to get in there until I finally got a shot. And I walked through it, and I didn't have too much business, thank goodness, because it is a hard product and program to learn. And I walked through my first VA construction and perm loan. I was like, wow, I live here in a military community. Mm-hmm. This is it for me. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to be the best one around here doing it. And so that's what I've done, And I think out of the 51 I've closed so far, probably 40 of them or so are construction loans.
That's amazing.
If I had to guess.
That's amazing. Yeah. And it's it's very difficult to compete against somebody who knows what they want, who is very, very clear, acts with that intention, and you do a great job of that. Now, what's the name of the nonprofit?
So the nonprofit's name is Whatever It Takes Addiction Prevention, and the reason that I named it that is because at my lowest point in life and out of desperation, in my dad's kitchen, when I was a fully grown man, I wrote on his dry erase board, whatever it takes, I want to live. And that's exactly how I felt in that moment, and that's what I apply to life every single day now. Whatever it takes, I'm going to be successful. Whatever,
Yeah, but that's you actually went exactly where I wanted you to, because I knew that was the name of it. But you just said, I went to all the vacant lots. I did this, I did that. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're doing whatever it takes to win. And that mentality, you can't lose with that, dude. You can't lose. So I'm very proud of it. Now let's talk about this. We talk often here about you doing the activities, you build your business up, you manage your finances, and then you're able to have an impact. One of the things that we don't talk about that I love about what you do is you looked at your struggles, you overcame them by doing whatever it takes. But the impact now with you and your dad, talk about what the nonprofit is and what you guys are doing. I think that is incredible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing that up. I try to stay as humble as possible with this, and it's taken me a long time to share with my partners in business about what I actually do. But whenever I'm asked about it, I share about it. So here it is. So we've got the nonprofit called Whatever It Takes Addiction Prevention, and we exist to deliver high-impact prevention programs to all the high schools across the state of Alabama, grades 6 through 12. There is a law that was passed 2024 called the Price-Hornsby Act, and it mandates that all 6th through 12th grade schools have to have at least one fentanyl education prevention assembly a year. So what we do is I share my experience, strength, and hope, and how little decisions ended up taking me to the deepest, darkest, points in my life. And my dad comes in and he shares from a parent's perspective how horrible it is to watch a loved one go through that. Wow. So the kids are captivated by it. You can hear a pin drop in that room whenever we go and share. Like, you would think that kids would be loud and I don't know, just not really keyed up and listening in, and they do every single time. All the teachers are like, "Holy cow! This has been the most successful assembly we've had in a long time with this group of students." Like, you really got their attention. And I always have these kids walk up afterwards, and somebody will say, "My brother, just passed away from a fentanyl overdose," or "My friends are starting to do this," or my mom is battling with alcoholism. What do we do? We always direct them to the guidance counselors. But pretty much what I do is I go out and I do mortgage lending to fund the kingdom work, which is, I feel like the nonprofit is the kingdom work. And it's been amazing. We've been able to talk to 20,000 students at this point in time, and we're expanding into different states, and God's just opening up door after door after door. It's like miracle after miracle, and I'm just blessed, to say the least.
And what I'm going to do is in the show notes, I'm going to have a link to that nonprofit, if you're good with that, so folks that want to donate can do that. One of the things you cannot measure. I mean, think about it. With let's just say 20,000 students you talk to, you don't know if it's one or if it's 5,000 that were given the opportunity to make a decision, and they chose the right decision because of something you said. But what I can guarantee you is they're out there, and you've had an impact. And I think your story is amazing, where you came from. Your professional story is just as amazing, dude. I love it. I'm proud of it. You know that. And I'm excited to see where things continue to go for you. But I just want to tell you, thank you. And you never know how big of an impact you're going to have on people listening to this. So I just want to tell you, thank you for taking some time with me, and I am proud of you, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to get on here and talk with you. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to be with you next week. Are you in Charlotte next week?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it, brother. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you up there next week.
All right, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Finding Your Innergator podcast. If today's episode helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, greatness is achieved through discipline, intentional action, and optimizing the relationships around you. I look forward to getting with you next week. Now, go Gatorize your day.